Hey everybody, welcome to the Monster's Lair, where the fire is warm and the tales are long. It's 22nd of April 2017, and as usual I've got my friend Ricky from London dialing in, and today we're going to chat about, I think, my 30 to 35 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda. How you going there, Ricky?
Yeah, doing well, man. Doing well. Hey, dude, I watched a movie this evening. It's called, I've never heard of it before. It's just on Amazon. It's called Savages. 2012. Have you heard of it?
Savages? No, man. What is it?
Sick film. You would really like it, I think. It's about these two guys. They're really, really, really good mates. And they live in California and they grow weed together and they sell it as a business.
Yeah.
And it's really, really high quality shit. And they're making a killing. And then the Mexican cartels kind of find out about them and they're worried that they're cutting into their margins. And so they make contact with them and they're like, we want to cut you in. We want you to make weed for us and we'll sell it, but we want you to show our guys how to do it as well.
What, the Mexicans need help growing weed?
Well, it's better quality. It's better quality.
I see. American.
What happened? One of the main characters, he's a soldier and he goes to Afghanistan, and apparently that's where the best weed is, and they got really good seeds, and he smuggles them back into the country, and that's why it's such good quality weed. I don't know how realistic this is, but that's the story.
This is the chronic. These be the chronic buds.
So the two guys are like, look, we just want out. We'll give you our business. We'll give you everything. We don't want to do business with you. We just want out. Yep. And they're like, you insult us by changing our terms. We're not negotiating. And so then they try basically force them to work for them for a bit, and then they have a big fight, and it's
oh man, don't spoil it. I'll definitely watch it. That kind of, I don't know if you've watched Breaking Bad. It's got some definite parallels.
Yeah. I have seen Breaking Bad. It reminded me of that as well. It's good. This film has got some of the most graphic, gory scenes I've seen in a film, and just some really disturbing stuff as well. It's quite dark, but
right.
Yeah, check it out. You'd like
That's a bit disturbing coming from a guy that watches Walking Dead. And you're saying this has got the most disturbing scenes in it, but anyway, wow.
Yeah, it really does. It's got one scene in particular I'm thinking of that's just like, oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I'll definitely check it out. And how was Wales, man? You went on holiday in Wales?
Yeah, Wales is beautiful. If you ever live in London, which you probably won't, but if you ever do, it's a good place. It's a great place to live and to work, but it's always great just to get out, get away from the city. So that's what me and my girlfriend did. We went out to Wales, stayed with some friends out there, and it's just a beautiful countryside. There's lots of sheep everywhere, lots of grass.
Must remind you of New Zealand.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, very much. And we went around this kind of like mining industrial area, and it was like Mordor.
There's a big red spotlight on the ground I saw on. You're like scuttling into the shadows.
Yeah, exactly. No, dude, it was great, man. It was a really good trip.
So, what, this industrial area was like a tour site, or like?
No, we were just driving through there. To be honest, we were.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Well, welcome back to London.
Yeah, good to be back. Yeah.
Mass Effect, man. Well, I'm sure everyone's heard a lot of things about Mass Effect. I just wanted to talk about my experiences, my opinions on it. So obviously this game was released in March. It feels like, well, I've been playing it for 2 months now. I must have done 40, 50 hours at least. My character is like level 54. I still haven't finished the game, but I'm at the pointy end for sure. I think I've just spent a lot of time doing the side quests and stuff, which are rapidly running out.
Yep.
So man, this game, I don't know, have you've like read all the hype and reaction to it and stuff? Have you sort of
I've been following it.
To that?
Yes, definitely. BioWare's a company, I love their games, so I always pay attention to when they release something.
Yeah, I mean, BioWare's for me, BioWare, Bethesda, and now CD Projekt are like my three favourite developers. So I used to play the D&D games back in the day, Baldur's Gate and stuff, which were awesome. So, man, just to give you like a background on I know you're not into space games, Ricky, so I'll give you an update on the narrative. If you like.
No stars.
No stars for Ricky. So this game kind of happens when Mass Effect 1, 2, or 3 happening, and Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, man, are happening in the Milky Way galaxy, and pretty much there's this sort of breed of ancient aliens or machines that every 50,000 years or so, they kind of kill everything in the Milky Way. They kind of detox the Milky Way and life starts again. And that's what the main Mass Effect stories are, is about the hero, Commander Shepard, stopping that from happening, essentially. So this game happens during that time, and there's kind of a rich person, which I haven't figured out the background to, and it's key to the story. A few rich people, if you like, they get together and they have researched another galaxy called the Andromeda Galaxy, which is something like 650 light years away, and they decide to send these massive 3 or 4 ships filled with like 200,000 people to go and settle in this galaxy far away. They obviously, with the things happening in Milky Way, this kind of spurred them to kind of get a move on and send I think each Ark, you can think of it as Noah's Ark, each Ark, which is a massive spaceship, has got, I forgot, it was 200,000 people or 500,000 people. So it was like 3 or 4 of those. They send them to Andromeda. They've done research on this galaxy, and they've like got a few planets where they, from what they can tell, is kind of habitable. So they send these 3 arcs, and every arc is on board has got an AI, very advanced AI, and a person called the Pathfinder, who is tasked, he's like a freaking champion, commando, jack of all trades type of guy, and he is tasked for finding these planets to live on and colonizing these planets. And you start off as this guy called Ryder, or you can be female. You've got a twin sister, so however you create your character, if you're male, you've got a twin sister. If you create a female character, you've got a male brother, twin. You create your character, and you're actually the son of the Pathfinder on one of these arcs at the beginning of the game. And you wake up, and pretty much the shit has hit the fan. None of the planets are really habitable. There's this weird phenomena in space called the Scourge. It kind of looks like floating sponge. It's just like this weird, stringy, dark energy, and as soon as your ships or humans come in contact with this stuff, it just pretty much kills you. So that kind of stops the progress of finding planets and stuff. And when you kind of land on your first planet, things go wrong even further. Your ship crashes, and you've gone down with your father, who's the Pathfinder, and you're all scattered on the planet. This is like the prologue of the game, and quite quickly, because it's not a habitable planet, your helmet cracks, and your father gives you his helmet, and he dies, and lo and behold, you're kind of thrust into the Pathfinder role. Your dad has, for years, planned for you to become the next Pathfinder. So really early in this sort of epic story of finding different worlds, you're now the Pathfinder, and it's your responsibility to find colonies for these people to live on. And when you do get to Andromeda, the other arcs have reached a place called the Nexus. So before they sent the arcs, they sent this huge space station, and the arcs were meant to dock at this space station, and that was meant to be like a little city in space where you would all meet up, all the 3 different arcs, and kind of it would be your springboard to colonize different planets. And when you get there, I think one of the arcs is already there or something, and the crap has hit the fan. People have realized that there's no habitable planets, and there's this weird Scourge thing floating around, and 2 or 3 of the arcs have gone missing as well. So the people that reached the Nexus, pretty much half of them revolted. They revolted, and they kind of had a bit of a civil war on the Nexus, and they kind of took off and robbed the place and took off. And you sort of at the beginning of the game don't know what's happened to them, but they end up finding a planet, and they're called the Exiles. So they become like a different faction straight off the bat.
Wow!
So yeah, man,
it's a lot. It's a lot going on. You know, the first in the opening prologue kind of thing. It's got a lot to play with.
Spot on, because but one of the biggest problems with this game is the actual, like, man, I don't know what BioWare and EA have done or why they rushed it, but they had like they used a very well-known engine which they used for like Dragon Age Inquisition, right? So it's not the engine that's at fault here. But these guys, the actual technology was so unstable, dude. Like, you would see like cutscenes had like bugs in them, like people kind of like vibrating, or the cutscene being blocked by someone's head, or just a lot of instability, inherent instability. It was clear as day. There was no quality at all. There was no quality check at all. There was no quality assurance at all. And I'm sure you've heard, man, like the facial animations came from games that were maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago even, like totally lacking any emotion.
You mean the quality of the emotions, yeah? The quality of the facial expressions.
Yeah, it was like a lack of. They looked like dolls that were talking, right? Yeah. So imagine all this epic stuff is happening, and there are these like lifeless faces delivering these messages early in the game. Like the guy's father dies, his sister's in a coma, and he's become a Pathfinder, and there's no worlds like habitable, and everyone's like, you know, half the people have revolted, and there's this like emotionless face kind of staring at you in the screen.
Yeah, it's really hard to immerse yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bit of it was a massive game breaker, I suppose, because their faces were on the screen for such long periods.
Sure, they have deep cutscenes, don't they? Long, and it's a very story-driven game.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dragon Age Inquisition, exactly like that, yes. You know. But so that was really disappointing to start off with, and exactly what you say. There's a lot to get a grasp on at the beginning of the game, and the lack of emotion was really noticeable and really disappointing.
I just can't understand why. I mean, BioWare have always delivered games with a very high level of quality, very high production values. They've proven in the past that they can deliver on this kind of content. Why have they taken such a big step backwards?
Man, I have no idea. I've been thinking there's a documentary out there for some reporter to get behind the scenes, and I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping in a couple of years there'll be this documentary coming out saying the real story behind Mass Effect.
Yeah,
there must be a story, right? There's something like you say, BioWare are champions at stories and characters and emotion, and then yet they allowed this to be released. There has to be something between BioWare and EA that happened, I reckon.
And is it the same team that developed the last Mass Effect, or is it a different group of people?
Good question, man. I'm not 100% sure, actually. I know that the quality assurance team, they got sacked. There was I don't know. I'm just saying there was zero quality assurance. Dude, it was a game that you're looking at within the first 5 minutes, and you're like, wow, how did this get by? How did they release this? Which executive allowed this to happen?
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then I'll give you another thing that kind of stunned me. It's a role-playing game, right? So, let's take this Nexus, which is this massive city, as an example, right? So you get there, and everyone's happy that there's a Pathfinder on board, and let's say you find your first planet as well, right? So you'd think this Nexus would be a hub of activity because there'd be people going back and forth to this first outpost, sending supplies, sending buildings to build, blah, blah, blah. Mate, the Nexus is the opposite of the hub of life and activity. It's like a ghost town, and the NPCs, dude, are they're just mannequins, Ricky. They're lifeless mannequins in the background, and it's the same NPCs. Sorry,
they just stand there, do they? They don't move around.
Yeah, and they don't blink. I checked.
Did you stand there for 5 minutes? Did you?
Yeah, man, and you'll have two NPCs facing each other, pretending to talk, and you go and you stick your head in there, and then they're not even talking; they're literally staring off into space. And
that's so disappointing.
Yeah, man, Elder Scrolls Online has got a much more vibrant atmosphere, and that's a freaking MMO, man, with 10,000 cities, and you know what I mean? It's a much bigger game, and it's got heaps more life. Whereas they just had to program life into Nexus. That's 80% of the game, because it's one of the main hubs, and they still didn't do it. It was so rushed, man.
It sounds a lot just from what you're telling me, it reminds me of No Man's Sky.
In some ways, yeah. In some ways, a lifeless. You hit the nail on the head. You know what it is? They made the game too big. They spread it too thin, and they didn't fill it out. And that's the same with No Man's Sky. It's a lot of space to frolic around in, but lots of gaps in between these spaces. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
So did it feel like playing this game? Did it feel like a bit of a grind, as in you just had to get through it and persevere, but you kind of lost the motivation?
Man, I nearly did. The beginning was beautiful, Mass Effect, epic, excited, wow, okay, got to find new worlds, and I love that stuff. I was totally keen and absolutely excited to get the ball rolling. And then the middle of the game, I started losing my way. There's a lot of fetch quests, Ricky. There's this kind of mechanic, if you like, where you go to a planet and you have to make the planet viable for your outpost to come down. And there is one of the major pillars of the story is on these planets you find this old ancient alien technology, and you nickname it the Remnant. And they've got these like ruins sprawled throughout the planet, and you pretty much figure out that these remnants have built this huge kind of power stations, if you want to call it that. And if you solve the riddle to these power stations, you can switch it on. And when you switch these ancient machines on, they actually make the planet habitable. Which raises all these questions. Who made these ruins? What are these remnants? Why are they making these planets habitable? What's their aim? What's their thing? But, in the meantime, you're like, I'll take that and I'll switch it on and I'll make this planet habitable. And then once you do that, you can send down your first outpost to that planet, and then you kind of move on to the next planet. But the process of making a planet viable through, dozens of side quests, solving these puzzles, which can get a bit samey, it became tedious, man. So in the middle of the game, there were some nights where I was like, you know what, I'd rather play Elder Scrolls Online. So it became, I didn't want to quit, but I was okay taking a break from it, and that usually doesn't happen to me. But now that I've gone down the main quest a lot more, now I'm keen to get cracking and finish it. So it's sort of improved a lot in the last 30% of the game.
Okay. And do you know, from a storyline perspective, is this so it's a concurrent story to what's happening back in the Milky Way galaxy? Is this game taking a span over the entire trilogy of the first 3 Mass Effects, or is it like? Do you have any perspective?
This is the thing, man. So it takes the Andromeda Initiative, which is the name of this project, which is all these colonists getting sent to Andromeda. It takes them, Ricky, I was going to ask you, it takes them 600 and something, let's say 650 light years to reach Andromeda. So everyone's like kind of in cryo sleep or in stasis in pods. And when you wake up, dude, it's 600 years later.
Oh, wow.
Once you reach Andromeda. Now that thought in itself kind of wrecked me, man. Like, these people that went on this expedition, they knew that when they woke up and it was 600 years later, imagine waking up and the first thought in my mind straight away is not, aha, we reached Andromeda. The first thought for me is, everyone I know is dead.
Yes.
Everyone I know is dead.
You'd want to like watch a condensed history of the world on YouTube or something so you could catch up,
600 years in 5 minutes.
How many people did Donald Trump declare war on? Okay.
So that's a crazy concept in itself. Obviously, Ryder, the character you're with, your brother, your sister, and your mum passes away before you leave, which is one of the storylines, and your dad are with you. So Ryder himself as a character has kind of got his immediate family on board, which is okay. But everyone else, like, I reckon people would be waking up like in trauma. Like, you might think it's okay, yeah, it's all good. I'll go on this expedition for 600 years, and I reckon you wake up and I'd be distraught. I don't know. Yeah, it's a very interesting concept.
And do they play with that? Do you talk to different people and explore that concept?
Again, not deep enough. No. It's kind of like, yeah, it's 600 years. Like, no one. I don't think anyone says like everything and every person we know is dead. Like generations have passed back on planet Earth. I had grandkids, or I had a kid I left back on planet Earth. What's happened to him is he like. Everyone's kind of a bit nonchalant and detached from the fact they've left everything. Time-wise, they've left everything. It's all good distance-wise, but time-wise,
you'd think there'd be that person that would like have a photo of their kid or whatever, and like just keeps looking at it throughout the whole time. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Look,
And
there's a brief like character, not a character. There's a brief. You go to the med bay, and the doctor's like working on a patient, and one of the patients they're putting back into the stasis pods because he can't handle it. So there's kind of a brief mention of like a few people that can't handle it. So, but there's no in-depth exploration of traveling 600 years away. From Earth.
And there's no way for them to communicate with Earth.
No, I don't think they are. From what I can tell, no, they're not communicating with Earth at all. Communications cut. This Scourge, this phenomena, this dark matter, that's kind of all around them, is disrupting a lot of things. And I haven't figured out what the Scourge is yet. I know it's tied in with the Remnant, because there's been some Remnant ruins I've gone into, and there's this sort of Scourge material kind of flowing out of it. You meet, just to flesh out the rest of the story, there's a war going on in this galaxy. There's a new race called the Angarans, which are pretty cool. I actually think they've done well. They're being attacked by this other race called the Ket, which you're trying to, like, your sort of constitution as a Pathfinder is to, like, make peace with different, like, reach out to other races and stuff. And your first meeting with the Ket, they just start blasting you. So you're like, okay. And they become the main enemy, if you like. And the Angarans become like an ally. And you kind of help them out and stuff. And then there's a big twist. Spoilers, everyone. Please switch off if you don't want any spoilers. The first major twist in the storyline, Ricky, I got there like a few days ago, was the Angarans are actually made by the Remnant, which is a machine.
Made?
Yeah, man. Like, you get to this place, like a command center of the Remnant, and you have to track it down, and it's all complicated. But you get there, and you see these Angarans that have lived in this galaxy for years. They've got their own culture and traditions, and they kind of speak about the fact that they used to have a civilization and they got wiped out and they lost a lot of their culture. So they have a bit of a murky past. And this Remnant, which is on the planet, right? These machines that you switch on, like, obviously you switch them on and the planet becomes habitable. It starts converting the atmosphere and allows plants to grow. So it's a giver of life. So I wasn't too shocked, but I was shocked that it was also a giver of, like, real epic life, making humanoid like type creatures. So the Angarans, or the Angaran guy that's on part of my ship, part of my crew, I've told him, or he's obviously witnessed the fact that we've discovered that Angarans are created by the Remnant. And that was an interesting thing to me as well, man. Imagine us humans, like, someone taking our hand and taking us to, like, Mars, and there's like a freaking Macintosh server, and they're like, this is what created you. Everything about God and this, that, and the other, nah, you're just created by this software version. Like, that would be, wow.
That is pretty. but they're like a living, breathing species, aren't they? Like, not robots.
Yep.
Right?
No, not robots. They're absolutely organic life form with their own culture. They're cool. I really like them, to be honest. The Angarans. And the Ket have come from another galaxy, and they're here, and they're just... What the Ket do is they take different races, and they take their genetics, and they combine it with their own.
Right.
To make themselves stronger. So they're kind of just pillaging the Angaran for the last few centuries, and the Angaran don't trust you initially because you're another alien race, They've kind of been, totally pillaged by this Ket race. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole story. Look, I think it's now that I'm gone past all the fetch quests,
Yeah.
and they've patched the facial expressions to make it slightly better. There's still a lot of little niggly bugs and stuff, but nothing more than like a Bethesda game, which I can look past. So now I'm on a roll and really enjoying it, man. The combat, Ricky, is amazing. It is like, it's so fun. The combat is some of the best combat I've played. Like, with Horizon Zero Dawn, I was a bit average on the combat. Like, The Witcher is a much better game, but this craps all over the combat of The Witcher.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different thing with guns and biotics and technology and stuff, but still, it's the highlight of this game, and it's why I want to do the crappy fetch quests, because I just want to fight things, because it's just so fun. At least that's kind of the lack of emotions, the fetch quests being repetitive, but at least there was this bright spot of absolutely really fun combat. I'm playing it on hardcore mode, so it's challenging. But now that I'm level 54, I can feel my power. Definitely the main bright spot of the game for me.
Oh, nice. So it's like, I think it's third person, isn't it? But then when you get your rifle, it goes to first person. Is that right?
No, it's still third person. Obviously, if you go into sniper mode, it becomes first person, like other.
Right.
It's like Uncharted and stuff.
Okay.
From that aspect. There's one really interesting thing about it is the class system, and man, I don't know about you, man. What's your preference? I really like humble classes. Like in the fantasy world, I like classes like the thief, the mage, the fighter. Right? I don't. One thing I don't like about Elder Scrolls is the name of the classes, like Nightblade, Dragon Knight.
Right.
There's Sorcerer, which is my class, which is a nice humble description. Templar. I'd rather just cleric, fighter, rogue.
Stick to the basics. You know what you are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this sort of Dragon Knight, and then you live, and it's an MMO, right? So you're walking around the village with 10,000 Dragon Knights. It's just. They should just be fighters or warriors. What is this Dragon Knight that everyone's a Dragon Knight? Seriously.
It sounds like really elite, but then everyone's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, every cat and dog's a Dragon Knight. Okay. And one of the wonderful things about Mass Effect, it's the same. There's an engineer class, which is always the class I choose. Because I'm just maybe because I'm an engineer or used to be an engineer, and it's just such a humble sort of class,
You know exactly what that is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like fighter or space commando. It's I'm an engineer. It's okay, when I first picked up Mass Effect, I was like, that's definitely the class for me. What am I going to do? Throw a spanner at the enemy? But anyway, there's this. So I picked engineer again.
So what are the other classes?
There's infiltrator, which is stealth. You're a soldier and it's stealthy. There's soldier. There's, I don't know the name of it, but there's obviously if you like magic, right? There's a thing called biotics in the Mass Effect universe, and it's the equivalent of magic in the fantasy world.
Right.
And some people there's a race called the Asari, which are extremely biotic, and they have this energy, and I actually like it. It's not overwhelming. It's not like, it's more like the Force in Star Wars, where you can throw people around. You can kind of, I think you can shoot electricity and do other things as well. But so there's biotics. So I don't know those classes because I haven't really looked into those. But there's a range of I don't know. Maybe it's just called biotic. I don't know. So that's called magic user if you like. But yeah, they're the only ones I know. I haven't really dug into all the classes because as soon as I see engineer, I'm just that's it. X, move on next. So engineer is really good with technology. I get a little droid that hangs out with me. I can use turrets and stuff. So yeah, but anyway, what I was getting at was you can your classes, Jaffa, is such that like I choose engineer, right? And depending on how many points I put into what skill tree, your class is actually a profile that you implement onto your character, and you can change this profile at any time. So I can go from engineer to infiltrator to soldier at any time, even in between missions. So it's an interesting, different take on classes. It's not
locked in.
Permanent.
Okay. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've stayed as an engineer.
Yeah.
I haven't used that. I mean, the way they kind of sell it in the game is these classes, all they are is a series of major buffs on certain things. So with an engineer, but let me explain further though. There is different levels to these profiles. So you've got engineer level 1, engineer level 2, engineer level 3, right? For me to unlock, so all the profiles at level 1 are open to you. So you can jump around between the different profiles. But depending on how many skill points you put into a tree, like if I put more points into the technology tree, that will unlock engineering level 2.
Right.
So you can't just, you're not the same equivalency. You don't jump from engineer level 5 to soldier level 5 unless somehow you've got the same amount of skill points in both trees. So it does make some sense. I was going to say I've covered the bad stuff. One other bad thing, man, is you go on these heaps of different planets, Ricky, and there's like a desert planet, there's like an ice planet, there's like a forest planet, and all that stuff. But and I don't know if this is tied in with the storyline, but it better be because I'm going to be annoyed. But the creatures on these planets, there's like 5 or 6 creatures, man, and they're the same on every single planet. So I'm like, really? They didn't flesh out these different creatures? Like, I'm meeting the same huge, like, gorilla-looking beast on every single planet, whether it's a massive ice planet or massive desert planet. So I'm not sure if that's tied in with the remnants and they just sort of churn out the same creatures, or they just couldn't be bothered fleshing out animals for these different planets. So that's a really lazy kind of aspect of the game as well.
Yeah, that sounds again a bit like No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
yeah, that's very disappointing.
Yeah, man. So, dude, I just wanted to, I think, so the sort of good points, man, sort of covered that as well. I think the storyline is picking up now. I think looking for new planets is awesome. Another big strong point, it's like Dragon Age, actually. You're a Dragon Age player, is your characters, or your team around you, and fleshing them out. People have criticized that they're very weak characters. Obviously, they lacked emotion facially. But I found that as the game's gone on, the characters are getting stronger. So I'm not as critical as other people are on the characters. I think it took a while for them to warm to me, but finally, after maybe I've got Stockholm syndrome. I've played like 35 hours with these characters, so I'm like, oh, okay, actually, you're a nice guy. There is one character though that everyone hates, like Jahan in Divinity Original Sin. His name's Liam, and there's all these articles and stuff, just like Jahan in Divinity Original Sin. Why
Jar Jar Binks or something?
Jar Jar Binks. But man, I wanted to.
Hate him as well.
Yeah, I did. I didn't hate him. He was a guy I'm not interested in. I never take him on missions. So every time you go down to a planet or do a mission, you can take 2 people with you, and you've got about 6 or 7 guys on your ship. So I've never taken him down. I haven't done his loyalty quest, so each character's got a series of quests, which are actually quite good. It's a good side quest. And you do these quests for these characters, and if you get to the end of them, they become loyal to you, which means that they can kind of use their final, if you like, skill slots on their character sheet, so they can fully max out and become really powerful. So that's kind of the reward for doing the side quest. So I've never done Liam's side quests.
No interest.
No interest. Never taken them out with me. Never seen with me in public.
Get back in the ship.
Get back in the ship, buddy. Not interested.
So from what you were telling me about the Scourge, that sounds very similar to Dragon Age to me, to how you've got to go around and close those rifts. Is it kind of a similar gameplay dynamic, or a similar element to it?
The rifts, that's right. It's kind of like that, except that I've played like 35, 40, 45 hours with this game, and I still haven't figured out what the Scourge is, whereas in Dragon Age you kind of get a grapple on the rift like straight away. Like you know how you get infected in your hand and you realise you can close a rift.
Yeah.
You sort of have mastery, if you like, over the rift, like early in the game. Here, man, I'm still like stuck on what the hell is the Scourge. I've kind of found out who the Remnant are, and they're kind of like gods. They create this technology that has makes planets livable, and they've created the Angaran, and they're kind of good in that aspect, but the Scourge, still a massive question mark. Got no idea what it is. And I'm level 54. So
I wonder if maybe they'll save that for like the next game in the series.
Yeah, true that. I think I've read that they've kept it open for a second game, which doesn't surprise me. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what the Scourge shenanigans is.
So all together, though, it doesn't sound like it sounds like probably an average game, maybe slightly above average, but not the game of the year, definitely.
Definitely not game of the year. Definitely not like a 6 out of 10, like some people have given it in my books. It's definitely a strong average game. If I had to strong between strong and average, like averagely strong. I don't know, man. Like 3 to 3.5 out of 5. To put a number on it. So I recommend it for Mass Effect fans. Now that they've patched up the expressions, they've made it a little bit better. I definitely just sort of suggest like doing the minimal quests, like not every single side quest, because they are pretty rubbish and a lot of fetch quests. But yeah, man, definitely. I mean, the combat is amazing, so much fun. Just me thinking about it now makes me want to go and have a session.
Find something. Yeah.
Jump in and start fighting something. So yeah, man, yeah, strong average.
It's like the Clay Thompson of video games.
A definite maybe.
I guess if you see it on sale or for a good price, maybe wait till then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're going to keep trying to fix it a bit, which is good, I suppose. They can release games, which is bad. They release unfinished products, but at least they can patch it up and people can wait and buy a patched version of the game. And man, there's this thing I wanted to talk about, dude, that really agitated me, man. It's the reactions against Mass Effect. We'll try and keep it short. I know you got to go. Like, there was a lot of hate delivered against Mass Effect, man, and obviously the tech was really substandard. The storyline, people said it was a bit meh, and the characters were a bit meh, which is all good and I accept. But then there was this other phenomenon on the internet, man, that I started YouTubing. I bumped into it by accident, and there was a whole bunch of YouTube videos called Mass Effect and Politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I told you before, man, before I pressed play on this video, I was scratching my head thinking, what possibly could this video be about? What politics? Like, what's this guy going to talk about in this YouTube video? Is the Angaran like the Democrats and the Ket are the Republican? Is, you know, the Mozsta, who's this like elder in the Angaran, is she like Hillary Clinton? Like, well, what politics?
And Liam is Donald Trump.
Black Donald Trump. Yeah. You know, I was like scratching my head, challenging myself, like, because I played that game for 30, 40 hours and I didn't get any sort of gist of like Earth politics. There's obviously politics in the world, because there's Angaran and Ket, this and that and the other. So anyway, I gave up. I couldn't come up. And then, mate, these YouTube guys, they were ranting for 10 minutes about how this game is just bending over backwards to be politically correct, because you can play, you can have gay relationships, because you can play coloured folk, because this guy, a couple of guys were complaining about the white characters that you choose were not white enough, for God's sake. The theme, like, I don't know, man, I just got really agitated. Like, I was looking at these guys. These guys are gamers.
Did you qualify that at all? Like, they're not white enough? Like, the complexion of the skin colour, you know? Or is it, I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, he's a bit creamy. He's not white.
Oh my
and I'm just like, I was just really agitated, man. Like, these guys are gamers, and it just dawned on me, there is no such thing as a gaming community as such. Gaming is just another slice of society, you know, with, you can have like KKK members that play games, and I don't include them in a community that I would be involved in, like, you know what I mean? Like, gaming is just another slice of society, it dawned on me, obviously, but I was just flabbergasted at this angle of hate, of this sort of term of political correctness. And mate, to be honest, I'm so tired of this term political correctness being badgered around by mainly, like, if you want to call them like right-wing people or whatever, I'm just sick of that term. Do you know what, man, political correctness to me is? It's just respect. You know, for you and me to be friends, I need to respect you, bro, and you need to respect me. You know what I mean? If you're passionate about something, I don't need to, like, denigrate it. Like, I don't need to disrespect it, because you know why? You're not going to be my mate. You won't be my friend. The same thing between me and my girlfriend. I need to respect whatever she likes or doesn't like, you know? I can joke about it, but I can't, like, hate on stuff that she likes. You know why? Because we're going to be together. Yeah. So human beings have respected each other for centuries. When you were a cowboy in the West and everyone had guns at their sides, I can tell you right now, you didn't have freedom of speech to say whatever the hell you wanted. You know what I mean? People would run you through with their swords, or they'd shoot you in the face, like, you know, centuries ago, if you just sat there and openly disrespected people. So this term political correctness, to me, is just respect, and it's kind of like been hijacked by all these, I don't know, pro-war, pro-destruction, pro-right, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, to kind of use it as a way of, like, keeping the good people quiet, and, you know, and just using it as a weapon, you know? Like, everyone walks around now the office, oh, he's just being politically correct, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm just so tired of it, man. Like, you know, I believe, like, the good people, the other side, need to sort of speak out and do their own rants on YouTube, because it's just at the moment flooded with one side. People just complaining about this thing called political correctness, which means respect. What this guy fails to see is in these games, he's kind of complaining, you know, that the white male is the dominant culture, so therefore these games should appease to that. He was also complaining that the women weren't good looking enough. So he's like, the feminists are obviously involved in the making of Mass Effect, because the women are all frumpy. I want hot chicks. All this stuff. So
sounds like this guy needs to get a life anyway. I mean, to talk about his actual argument, I don't understand. So, I mean, BioWare have for a long time now incorporated gay relationships into their gaming, but it's never forced upon you. It's never like, I have to do this. It's an option that, yes, you can pursue that if you want to. If you don't, then you can ignore that part of the game. So, I mean, as a gamer and someone who likes RPG games, that's something that you want to be in your game. The fact that you've got as many options as you can. It's kind of like it's kind of like complaining that they've included engineers as a class. Like, oh, they shouldn't have included engineers. They're just trying to pay tribute to the smart people in society, right? Like, that's
good point. Yeah.
And be a soldier, whatever. It's interesting about the white thing. I mean, as a gamer, I guess you like I just said, you want things to be as diverse as possible. So if someone wants to go and play like a very pale person who's never seen the sun, then sure, you know, you should be able to go do that. But at the same time, I don't think that there's a risk at this point of white people disappearing from video games. So I'm not concerned in any case.
Yeah.
And as a further aside, I mean, this is set, you know, in the future. I don't know exactly what year it is, but it is actually quite plausible that as society is becoming more multicultural, that it is possible that white people won't be around in the future.
Well, none of us will be around. We'd all be mixed into something that's slightly off tinge, you know, off colour, you know,
yeah,
of what we all are today.
Which
slightly
sounds,
brown, slightly white. I don't know. Yeah.
Which sounds like the not white character that this guy's talking about. So maybe the developers have actually kind of hypothesized about what might happen, and that's the direction they've gone in. I don't know, but yeah, it just sounds very bizarre.
Race. So I'm not just picking on it. Let's just take a random race. Let's take Chinese. Right? There's not many Chinese protagonists in games, but I do not expect some guy in England who's making a piece of artwork, which I think a game is, a story. I do not expect and put pressure on him to, while he's creating this artwork, to kind of also take on the burdens of the world and try and represent everyone in this piece of art. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that. If people want to make a game with only certain characters or whatever in it, that's fine to me. I have no problems at all. Do you know what I mean? I don't want creativity to be stifled by this pressure of, you need to have everyone represented, you need to have everything, captured in this piece of art. I think that would actually make, the term having like a token black guy in a show or a token Mexican, that would just kind of feed into that, and I don't want that at all. But when developers, in the context of like a role-playing game, which is what people have forgotten, it's a role-playing game where in Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, you create your character from nothing out of a piece of clay, and you can go in any direction. And in the software world, it was limited in the past of how many different paths you can go down, but now things have become more and more powerful, and software has become powerful. Now characters can literally go in any which way. So in the context of, this is a role-playing game, therefore your character can be blue, green, black, grey, purple, and you can do whatever you want. That is a thing of beauty and should not be hated against. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a balanced outlook. I'm not saying, every game needs to have, like a Chinese guy, a Mexican guy, and a thing in it at all. A creator should do, and again, I think if people are complaining, like, oh, there's not enough, like, let's say women, or there's not enough, I don't know, dark people, you know what, then women and my view is the women and the dark people, whoever's complaining, needs to get a groove on and start creating your own games. You can't outsource this stuff to another group of people and then demand that they do this service for you. You can't sit back and go, you're creating these wonderful games, but can you also add me or add Jack in it, because it's just not fair. Like, you create your own games, mate. Like, what's stopping people from coding,
Yeah. Because obviously you're going to do a disservice to that person's culture or that person's perspective, because you wouldn't understand it correctly. So
yeah, that's right. You'd probably get it a little bit wrong as well, and then they'd probably hate on you for getting it wrong as well.
It makes the situation worse.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I just wanted to have a rant about my kind of this thing called political correctness, and I'm just tired of it. So I had to have a rant.
Mate, you chose at random. You said, there's not a lot of Chinese races in mainstream gaming. Ironically, BioWare about 10 years ago made a game set in like Imperial China. I don't know if you played it, Empire.
Oh no, actually.
Okay.
Wow, good on them. They're legends.
Yeah, so American or Canadian studio, and they made a game set in medieval China. It was quite a good game at the time. Got a lot of good reviews. But it's just funny that's just what you happen to mention.
There you go. BioWare are legends. They've been diverse for years. Cool, man. So yeah, man, that's Mass Effect. We'll just wrap it up here, Ricky.
Yep, perfect, dude. What's next on your gaming agenda?
I was going to actually ask you what you're playing these days as well. So I'm going to try and finish Mass Effect. And then I've downloaded this indie game called A Night in the Woods, I think. Okay. And it's a really funky looking 2D side scroller where you play this cat. And apparently, I don't know the story. It's something like you come home to your town, and it's meant to represent like a sort of country town in the US a little bit. And people are going through joblessness and they're depressed. And yeah, it's just intrigued me. It's got like heavy themes, but it's like a 2D side scroller, and you're playing a cat.
That sounds very random. Quite different to the normal playlist.
Yeah, so that's like. So, what are you playing these days, man?
I'm playing Wasteland 2.
How are you going with that? What level are you?
I think I'm like level 16. I've got a party of 6 characters now. They're all about level 15 or 16.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So it's the sequel to the original Wasteland, which I think came out like in the very early 1990s. It's a top-down, turn-based combat game set in a post-apocalyptic future. The setting is very similar to Fallout.
Yeah.
It's
a tribute. It's a tribute to the original Fallout, isn't it?
Well, before Fallout, it was a game called Wasteland. Wasteland actually preceded Fallout.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in on Monsters Lair, and we will see you next time. Oh yeah.